Man.
All right, guys, it is Wednesday, July 2nd. Happy 2nd of July. It is.
We should do a paid version where people just join us for the pre-show banter.
That's the best
Oh my
part.
God.
That's the best part of the show, the part you guys don't see. Packaging Station, where we're talking about packaging and the packaging industry. Today, we wanted to cover something that's you might have seen in the news. It's the BB bill, which is kind of like the BBL, but it's the big, beautiful bill.
It's not like the
It's not. I thought it was like the same thing. It was like BB bill.
no, BBL jersey.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how that's going to how that may
The
impact.
kids knew that one. My kids my age knew about BBL jersey.
You know, they say this bill is pretty sky risky.
I've got my drawstrings equal today for Hugh.
Perfect. Just for you.
Yeah.
So if you guys got any questions on it, we'll kind of go through it. Once again, Corey, you're out on assignment. Where are you at?
Black Butte, Central Oregon.
He's on vacation. He's not on assignment.
Yeah.
Sent him to Black Butte. He went there
No,
on
I'm
his own.
On
Hey, Sydney,
assignment.
how are you? All right, so yeah, I think we'll get into this big beautiful bill. How it's going to impact packaging, how it could impact sustainability, and just a few things you should be on the lookout for. And Adam, I know I sent this to you since you're not on vacation, and you kind of had to look at it. Just any immediate thoughts?
Yeah, can. Anyway, Kendrick definitely won the rap battle. Like Drake, sorry, buddy.
Yeah, Hugh's super stoked about your drawstring.
I appreciate your help, Hugh.
Hey, Kay, how's it going? All right, so if you're joining us on YouTube, if you're joining us on LinkedIn, just drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching, where you're listening from. And if you got any questions on Trump's BB bill, let us know. We'll kind of get into it. So, all right, so first off, where are we with this bill?
I believe it has passed the Senate and is going to the House. My civics we're not political. This is not a political podcast, everybody, just so you know. We're not three people who are like, we spend all day long consuming news about politics. There are people out there who are like that. You do not have three of them. I can barely tell you how a bill becomes a law, and that's really only based on civics lessons that I had in high school and songs about bills becoming a law. So I believe it's passed committee. It's maybe going to the House, or maybe it's gone from the House to the Senate. I can't. No, it's a Senate bill. I think it's in the House, but maybe in the Senate.
In the House.
No, but it's
all right. So we're a packaging show, right? This is, if you want to get like the full breakdown of the legalities and the issues, you got to go somewhere else.
How has my lighting made me merge all the way into the background?
I think it's just your skin color. You kind of have like that
Oh yeah, I do.
whitewashed oak look.
Thank you.
Actually,
Fine.
all right. So first off, like one of the things that
I wasn't wearing my glasses, you wouldn't even know I was on camera.
That's right. If you took your shirt off, you'd blend in other than your nipples. All right. So then the first thing that shows up for me when I threw this big, beautiful bill that has 940 pages to it. And if you want to read it yourself, we'll throw it in the discussion. We'll have a link so you can download the entire PDF yourself and review it on your own time. But there's a rise in carbon scored packaging. Now, there's nothing in here that specifically says packaging, but it's how some of the language in here impacting packaging. And one of them is that it's going to push us closer to everything having a carbon score. And the reason for that is there's support for low carbon materials, especially things that are done domestically, right? So that may improve recycling. That may increase recycling rates.
Bye, Corey. Corey's already bored. He's like, I'm out.
Get me out of here. But it could be subsidies for recycling centers, more giving more money for processing in order to lower.
Wait, you're saying
carbon
this is in the bill, or this is a possibility because of carbon scoring?
This is a
'Cause I-
possibility. This is
I
a
don't think-
possibility because of carbon scoring.
Yeah, but I don't think there's going to be federal subsidies on this bill for environmental things like we're not. I mean, tax credits have gone away for a lot of environmental sustainability stuff in the bill.
Yes, but if you put in something that if you specifically say that there's going to be if you use materials that are heavily processed and they have a higher carbon score, then
Yeah.
you're more likely you're going to want to buy materials that have a lower carbon score, right? Because you're not going to have those fees. So in that case, we've got to up our production of those materials, which would be recycled materials. So, that's like one area.
Yeah, but I'm saying the bill specifically is not stating we're going to help subsidize carbon friendly materials from what I can
It seems to be
I read all 900
against-
pages, and by that I mean I uploaded it to ChatGPT and had it read all 900 pages and give me talking points.
Correct.
Yeah, just so you know.
It seems to be pretty anti-environment, doesn't it?
Not. It kind of depends on how you look at it, right? So if you look at section 60015 on page 4,
Yeah, I
which,
definitely.
Actually,
Hey man, let me.
it's got low embodied carbon labeling for construction materials. Construction materials specifically, not packaging, but it kind of goes across the board.
that's good.
It removes funds from supporting labeling systems that could apply to packaging materials in future legislation, but it also gives you some restrictions on different materials, different ingredients to them, different materials, emissions rate, publication for transportation fuels. So like it goes into like logistics. How are we reducing our carbon? It's not just like the final pack, but it's also materials. It's the full production, delivery, like all those little details. So I don't know.
I wonder if that's the how to recycle label.
I mean, that may be part of it, but I think knowing your specs is going to be important. LCAs, I think, are going to be important. Having like your scope 3 emissions, like all those things, I think are going to be important for packaging decision makers.
Yeah, I think those things are already important.
They are, but
I think that states are going to drive this more. I don't think that this bill is doing a whole bunch. From what I can gather, this bill is not driving a whole lot of change in terms of sustainability initiatives. It is, if you look at it from a step out, which is it's trying to drive more domestic production, onshoring of business. There's tax credits for onshoring of businesses. There's supply chain resiliency for specifically like military Department of Defense contracts. They want to have that stuff onshored more. That's going to have a positive impact on carbon scoring. I would be shocked, and I'm going to have to reread the entire bill, I guess. I would be surprised if there's anything in here that's like, we want to invest in companies that are reducing their carbon impact through carbon scoring. If that's actually in the bill, or maybe your version of ChatGPT is having one of those, what are they? It's like
hallucinations.
Yeah, I was going to say some sort of a
again
dream.
It's not. It isn't.
Really.
No. Actually, I had mine specify the exact section and the page. So I can go in and kind of look at it myself.
You should.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the way that you should prompt this thing.
Corey, you're in, you're out. You're in, you're out. I mean, it's okay. You can just be on vacation. We still love you.
We do love you for sure.
Yeah.
Again,
so I think on the whole,
there's nothing in here specific to packaging, right? But I think if you're looking at this thing as a whole, when it talks about construction materials, when it talks about nearshoring, reducing carbon footprint, it's not specific to packaging. But like, how could that apply to packaging?
Yeah,
right?
for
So
sure.
If we're looking at lower carbon scoring on materials, that means, not bringing in materials from other countries. Not, it's really for a push for more American production. And in order for that to happen, there's going to be a push for automation, which we've talked about. It's going to be a push for just looking at Kaylee's comment here. Most things in this ugly ass bill are veritable fat wall on anything related to alternative energy, not fossil fuel energy sources.
Yeah, it's the bill, from what I can gather, is not great for things like seaweed derived plastics or PLA plastics in our industry. Alternative fuel vehicles, for example. I mean, I read Elon Musk went so far as to say, anybody who voted for this bill, I will, if it's the last thing I do on earth, I will make it my cause that they get primaried and don't win another election. I was like, well, so Elon's frustrated by the bill.
But again, this isn't, not a political show. It's just, this is what's happening in the country. How's it going to impact packaging?
Yeah, Kaylee brings up a great point, right? So there's a lot of packaging companies that are using either energy credits, renewable energy credits, to be able to put on their packaging, like, powered with wind, powered with solar. If those subsidies are going away, and that makes that energy more expensive to buy as an offset, will we see that on packaging more? It's probably not going to be beneficial to that. But I do think it's important, like you mentioned, to highlight. Chris Olson says the bill weakens or removes environmental regulations and oversight. Now, if you've read, there's a great book called Abundance that I read by Ezra Klein, and he's got a who's the other author? I can't remember off the top of my head, but there can be a lot of benefits actually to reduction in environmental and governmental regulations that can actually be beneficial. And I'm not saying this because I swing one side or the other. It's just that sometimes we have so many regulations in place that it hinders progress towards a future where we can actually be creating things. So think about yesterday, we're talking about, this is a crazy example, but a guy in his backyard doing pyrolysis, that's going to get shut down by every industry regulation. And certainly we need more regulations in place than just anybody can go make pyrolysis machines and turn plastic into energy or whatever it is, right? But people like that don't get involved typically in fields like packaging and sustainability because it's just so hard to get stuff done. And so there could be some benefits in dropping some of these regulations to encourage onshored, innovative type things, because those are the ones that are getting the tax credits, right? Like a simplified tax code. If you're in a rural community, if you're a small business, if you're an American business, and a lot of packaging manufacturing is done in these rural communities. I can't tell you how many I've been to driving 2-3 hours from an airport. This bill is going to be beneficial for a lot of those types of companies. So in terms of the incentives for them to continue to do business and to hire American workers. So
yeah, and some of the stuff in here is like specific to government programs. So if you're providing packaging for various government programs, whether it's to military or anything else, like in there's a push for a move away from, again, carbon intensive materials and non-recyclable packaging or non-reusable packaging for any kind of federal contract. And it's not specific to packaging. Just you've got to be able to showcase how much carbon is in there. And the reason for that is not, I don't believe it's a sustainable one, but it's obviously, if you're bringing materials in from other countries, if you're bringing in production from other countries, it's going to have a higher carbon score than if you're doing it locally.
Correct.
And again, that's the push. So it's not a sustainable one. It's all about that. So I think if you're able to provide like that scope 3 information, your logistics, and really showcase like what your actual carbon score is per item, then you're going to have a better opportunity to compete. That's just for government contracts, but this whole bill is kind of global. So if that's the way it's affecting that, and that's the type of scoring we're looking at, that'll be pretty much across the board for everyone.
Now, if you listened to one of my latest podcasts with ITR Economics, which it was a great podcast episode, not because of me, but Lauren Seidel Baker came on, and she said this: no recession in 2025, prepare for a depression in 2030, 2029, 2030, 2031, sometime around there, a prolonged depression. And this is going to impact everybody if it were to actually happen. And I do think that big, giant spending bills like this bill won't stop that. It's not going to slow down that progress. And so, I'm only saying that because she came on my podcast. She talked about it a little bit from a packaging perspective. And I said, just in general, what information do you have for people? And she was like, just be ready. And she said, it doesn't particularly matter right or left. They try to be as center as possible, but she's like, this is just what we are heading towards. And I'm not an economist. So that's why I like to have people on like her and point people over to ITR Economics. They have a free newsletter you can subscribe to. But I would imagine that bills like this, and she spoke about tariffs as well, high tariff policy and big spending bills are not beneficial towards slowing down the oncoming economic depression in the U.S. So happy Tuesday, Wednesday.
Nice.
Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Good news all around.
Great news. I'm the hope dealer. It's what my T-shirt says.
No, I think it's important for you to go download the entire bill yourself.
Yeah.
Run it through ChatGPT. Ask it your questions, but be specific and have it tell you what page it's on and specifically the language that it's using, so that you can then go reference it yourself and actually read it yourself. Don't take Chad's word for it.
Yeah.
Chris, another problem related to the bill. Now, federal government will be more likely to sue states over environmental laws that go further than federal requirements, arguing preemption and unconstitutional overreach.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know. I think it's important to go through, look at it yourself, see how it's going to impact you. If you're a designer, if you're a packaging designer, I think it's important to look at this as well. There's a whole section in here on materials. You can't use pushing away from using materials that are assisted by, it says, by foreign entities, which basically says any material that's coming in from another country that may have subsidies in that country may have higher tax implications here in the US, right? So you might be picking materials if you're doing, whether that's for the dyes that are being used, for different foils, maybe different laminates. And none of this is specific to packaging. It's really around, automotive, weaponry, like all these, chips. But of course, the language isn't specific to those either. So that's what you have to kind of look at. If you're designing something, now you've got to think about where is it going to be made? What materials can we actually use? And really think about materials and process, because that's going to change, right? If you're designing something that you love and it's amazing, your brand loves it, and they go to produce it and they're like, well, we can't produce it in the US. They go somewhere else. That cost might be so high that in order to produce it in the US, design has to change, right? And as a designer, that's the last thing that you want. You don't want to lose control of your design. And then you also don't want to sell a customer something that they can't afford. So definitely something to be aware of.
Yeah. Also be aware of the fact that the bill has not yet passed, that there were in fact people who voted for the bill who were like, I hope that this doesn't pass, which is crazy to me, but whatever. We can't solve every problem here related to this bill or question in the bill.
We can't solve it.
No,
but
we can solve it.
It is Wednesday, time for Can We Solve It? We've got Adam Peak. What do you want to do today? Did you want to get comments, questions from the audience?
I think that I would like to grab something here real quickly.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask if the audience can answer a question for me. Does that sound fun? And the first person to answer the question, we'll send a t-shirt to.
Perfect.
We try
Can
this
they solve it?
Can you solve it? Okay. It was my headphone cable's not very long.
And again,
Okay,
this show
so-
is not a legal show. It is just
Definitely, if you're listening to us for legal advice, we
you
got
tuned
some-
to the wrong channel.
Okay, so this morning I posted a video on LinkedIn about this box. And oh, hello. Look at me, all big and fancy on the screen. And in this video, I talked about a company that's making this. So I watched as these boxes came off the line.
Yep.
Right. And these boxes came off one after another. So it's printed like this Lego box. Then we had this denim jeans box. And then inside of that, it's like
So these were all inline printed one after the
Inline.
other.
made and printed, or printed and then formed right after another, and they came off the line. And
All
Jeff-
different artwork, all different sizes.
Yep. So you got the Happy Birthday Natalie, new craft beer 12 pack, click shop, shoes. Okay, all of this stuff. This just keeps going. It's like infinity. It's like the
Is the
Bizarro.
question at the
corrugated-
bottom of the last box, or
What's that?
is the question at the bottom of the last box, or what do we?
Yeah,
do?
the question is on these boxes, what or who is the company that makes the boxes? I talked about a piece of equipment that makes these boxes, and I mentioned them like 4 times in the video. So if you watch the video or go watch the video and tell me who is making and printing these boxes. First comment, you're gonna have to DM me your t-shirt size and your address, or Avelio or
And we'll get
Corey,
you a shirt.
and we'll send you a shirt. And you know what I'm thinking I'll do, Avelio, is
What
I'll
do you think
order
you'll
the
do?
shirt, I'll have it come to me first, and then I'll pack it in
A custom.
some custom packaging. It'll either be one of these boxes over here behind me that I also had made by
or
the
it'll
same
be something
company,
completely different.
or I could probably just go over and have a totally different box made. So comment, please comment. Who is the company that makes these boxes?
Hugh is the first one to answer.
Hugh Curtis. Oh yeah.
Packing a custom label. Labels are
should.
not packaging.
Labels are packaging.
Hugh Curtis
this
says,
isn't-
was it
This
EFI?
isn't Jeopardy. Hugh, it's not Jeopardy. This is give me a
Who is
definitive.
EFI?
Give me an answer. I'm not answering for you. Mike says GP Hummingbird. No. Mike says EFI. Okay, so what? So we've got Hugh saying was it EFI, and Mike saying EFI. Okay,
You
tiebreaker.
find the grammar you're looking for.
Tiebreaker here between Hugh and Mike. Yes, it's EFI. What's the name of the machine that I referenced in the video? So it's an EFI.
All right, so look
EFI
at the
blank
name.
blank. Give
looking for
me the
the
name
name.
between Mike and Hugh. Ready, go.
right. We'll wait to see what comes up. In the meantime, it is Wednesday, so every Wednesday we do Can We Solve It, where you ask us questions. In this case, we're asking you questions.
Hey, way to go, Mike.
Nice.
Mike,
Is that right?
DM with your-
EFI?
Yeah, EFI X5 Nozomi. So Mike, shoot me over a DM with your address and your shirt size. I got to get the shirts print, so the shirt gets digitally printed, not by EFI. And then I'll have it shipped to me. So it might be a few weeks, but it'll get there. We'll make something fun.
Perfect. And you know what? Let's get one for Hugh as well.
Yeah, you know what? He would do the same thing. Hugh, you know what? Because you're Hugh.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that the hoodies are crooked. Awesome, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys for joining us for the show. And do us a favor. Tag somebody in the comments that you think should be watching.
Yeah.
And talking about packaging, whether it's your customers, whether it's your coworkers, or anybody that you know that's interested in packaging. If you've got some packaging design, any packaging products, anything that you've sold recently, anything that you're producing recently, throw it in the comments. We talk about it on Fridays. We do a viewer pack review where we talk about your packaging. Last week we talked about Brian Franz's Trader Joe's folding box. Kind of went through like what it was, some pros, some cons to it, and just giving you ideas of what you guys can do with it as well. So we'd love to hear from you guys. You, of course, you're welcome, man. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Thank you guys, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow.